Lu Jingheng got drunk at a palace banquet and mistakenly called the imperial concubine by her childhood name. Before the emperor could punish him, he had a sudden inspiration and petitioned for marriage. Your Majesty, I wish to request to marry the Shen family's legitimate daughter, Shen Wanning, as my wife. My name is Shen Wanning, and the concubine's childhood name is Wanyan. Just before the emperor agreed, I knelt to clarify, Your Majesty, this subject is not acquainted with Lord Lu. Also, although my name contains the character Ning, my childhood name is Jiao Jiao. The person Lord Lu just called is not me. In an instant, both Lu Jingheng and the concubine went pale. That's right, I was reborn. This time, don't think you can use me as a shield again. Halfway through the banquet, Lu Jingheng suddenly called out Wanyan. That address was truly intimate. Many present heard it, including the emperor and the concubine seated above, the concubine's hand holding her wine cup. Froze, she nearly dropped it. The emperor's face darkened. Everyone knew that the concubine's name included the character Wan, and her childhood name was Wanyan. Lu Jingheng, indeed the most outstanding heir of the Lu family, sobered up more than half in the shortest time and stood to petition for imperial consent to marry. Your Majesty, I have come of age and wish to take advantage of today's palace banquet to request the marriage of the Shen family's legitimate daughter, Shen Wanning, as my wife. Lu Jingheng's voice was loud, as if he raised it deliberately to cover his unease. I, Shen Wanning, happened to be at the banquet as well. A moment earlier, Lu Jingheng had quickly scanned the room and fixed his gaze on me. In my previous life, it was the same. Lu Jingheng dragged me into his scheme to escape today's crisis. Unfortunately, with the emperor granting the marriage, the Shen family had no means to resist. This time, I clarified first. I rose from my seat, knelt in the center of the hall, and said in an even clearer, louder voice, Your Majesty, I am not acquainted with Lord Lu. Also, my childhood name is not Wanyan. I already have someone I love. I cannot marry Lord Lu. The person Lord Lu just called could not have been me. The crowd fell silent, faces varying. The concubine's beautiful features stiffened. The emperor narrowed his eyes, glanced at Lu Jingheng, then cast a sideways look at the concubine. The atmosphere froze to a breaking point. Lu Jingheng was no ordinary man. He was the heir groomed carefully by a great family. In the previous life, on this very day he asked to marry me and thereby eliminated the crisis. He supported the concubine's son to the throne, rose swiftly to power, and was appointed regent, second only to the emperor. On the day I had a difficult labor, it was Empress Dowager Jiao Wanyan who had personally left the palace. She was decked in jewels and finery, idly playing with a dagger in her hand and smiling with arrogant triumph. Shen Wanning, thanks to me you could marry Brother Jingheng. Brother Jingheng sought your hand simply because there's a homophone in your name. From the start, you were only a shield. Your first child, Brother Jingheng himself tampered with it so it would be lost. An unloved child does not deserve to live. Brother Jingheng's son can only be born by me. Shen Wanning, you touched someone you shouldn't have. I will personally send you on your way. So that's how it was. I didn't know where the strength came from, but I fought back desperately. When Jiao Wanwan lunged at me, I grabbed her wrist, twisted the dagger a different way, and drove it into her lower abdomen. Jiao Wanwan's delicate makeup drained in an instant. You dare stab Arijio? I twisted the dagger again. You and Lu Jingheng have wronged me so. I'm taking one down with me. Isn't that fair? Jiao Wanwan stammered. No, Arijio hasn't lived enough yet. She hadn't lived enough. What about me? She and Lu Jingheng secretly carried on. Why should I pay the price after I died? My spirit did not disperse. I saw my nemesis Zhu Jing'an rush back to the capital upon hearing the news. He investigated everything as fast as he could. The young general, sword in hand, turned the Lu residence upside down and stole my corpse. Zhu Jing'an cried and cursed at me. You only lash out at me. You let others bully you to this extent. Why didn't you tell me sooner? But he used to oppose me at every turn. Could it be that he secretly loved me? Later, Zhu Jing'an resisted Lu Jingheng at every turn and, at 25, was falsely accused of colluding with the enemy and treason, murdered by Lu Jingheng's schemes. I was only a spirit and could do nothing. Perhaps my attachment was too deep. and heaven allowed me to live again with memories returning. I found myself still kneeling in the main hall. There was still time. Lu Jingheng grew anxious and actually seized me, refusing to let go. Jiao Jiao. Don't be angry with me, alright, if not me calling you, then who? He shifted tone and kowtowed to the emperor. Your Majesty, the Shun and Lu families have never been on good terms. Jiao Jiao is the Shun family's legitimate daughter. I have never dared publicly be with her. But what is wrong with two people who truly love each other? How dare he say that? In the previous life, after the emperor arranged the marriage, I became the Shun family's discarded daughter. Lu Jingheng, fearing that people would discover his scandal with the noble consort, insisted we had long been secretly involved. The Shun family didn't believe my explanations. I lost my support and became Lu Jingheng's pawn. Even in the marriage bed, he forced himself on me. I spat at him, and he said, if we're putting on a show, it must be complete. I can't let the one I love fall into any crisis. So, Shun Wanyan, whether you cooperate or not, you will cooperate. I will make the emperor believe you are the one I speak of. At that moment I regained my composure and said to the emperor, Your Majesty, this servant girl's childhood name is Jiao Jiao. Close relatives and friends can all attest to this. I looked toward my grandmother. At that time, I was not yet the Shun family's discarded daughter, and my grandmother naturally protected me. She rose immediately and said to the emperor, Your Majesty, this servant's granddaughter's childhood name is indeed Jiao Jiao. No one has ever called her Wanwan. The emperor's face had already turned quite unpleasant, as if tinged with a faint green light. Just as Lu Jingheng was about to speak, I hurriedly cut in. This servant girl and the Lu heir have only met a few times, and always in public. This servant has no private relationship with him. I suspect the Wanwan the Lu heir mentioned is someone else. After saying this, I deliberately glanced at the noble consort, then at the empress. The favored concubine was young and beautiful, deeply cherished by the emperor. The empress naturally couldn't stand it. Catching my eye, the empress immediately understood what to do. She deliberately said, if I remember correctly, Consort Zhao's name contains the character WN. Once the empress led the way, other concubines began to imply things. Before entering the palace, Consort's sister was childhood friends with Lord Lu, wasn't she? Oh, could it be that Lord Lu just called Consort's sister by her childhood name? When things reached this point, the consort forced a smile. She leaned closer to the emperor, looped her arm through his, and coquettishly said, Your Majesty, I know nothing at all. Lu Jingheng was still struggling desperately. He even gripped my shoulder in front of everyone. Stop making a scene. You'll make people misunderstand. I'll persuade my family and formally marry you. I felt sick. As I pushed Lu Jingheng away, I kowtowed heavily to the emperor and said, Your Majesty, this subject does not know why Lord Lu would call the wrong person, nor why he insists that I am his lover. But there is indeed someone in my heart. He is the fourth son of the Zhu family, Zhu Jingen. If the emperor doubts it, you can summon him back from the border and question him. I was betting that Zhu Jingen would surely confess. The emperor narrowed his eyes. The Lu family's power was deeply entrenched, and Zhao Wanwan was the emperor's favorite. For a moment, he did not make a decision. Very well, summon a messenger at once to the northern border and bring Zhu Jingen back. I want to see who is trying to deceive the throne. I calmly thanked him. Lu Jingheng's condition was not good. Sweat had already broken out on his forehead. After the palace banquet, Lu Jingheng stopped me. He still tried to persuade me. Shen Wanning, I am the junior head of the Lu family. How many women in the capital want to marry me? The opportunity is right in front of you. Why not agree? The Shen family has more than one daughter. What the Shens can give you, I can double. I was about to retort when my grandmother came over. Having heard the words, she pulled me to her side. Lord Lu, be careful what you say. The Shen family indeed has more than one daughter, but we would never stoop to marry into a sworn enemy's household. Seeing my grandmother protect me stirred mixed feelings. Affection in great families is often driven by interest. I had once been cold-hearted, but I understood. Wallowing in sorrow was useless. Now that my family was willing to believe and support me, I would make the family my backing. Lu Jingheng wanted to continue his entreaties, but my grandmother slammed her cane down. Lord Lu, you pride yourself as the premier gentleman, surely you wouldn't even mistake your own lover. My granddaughter has made herself clear, she has not pledged herself to you, cease your entreaties. Everyone passing by was a person of rank and standing, so Lu Jingheng had to give up for the time being. Back at the Shun residence, I told my grandfather directly that I had had a nightmare and roughly described everything that had happened in my previous life, including how Lu Jingheng ruined the Shun family. My grandfather and several uncles were so angry they slammed their hands on the table. Although Zhao Zhao's nightmare is incredible, it must not be taken lightly. Today's palace banquet, with Lu Jingheng attempting to seek Zhao Zhao's hand, is the best proof. The Lu family is truly audacious. Do they mean to muddle the imperial bloodline? I said, Grandfather, in my dream I indeed saw that the young emperor was Lu Jingheng's son. Lu Jingheng mistakenly called the consort by her childhood name. To cover it up, he sought to marry me, trying to drag me and the Shun family into the mire. Your granddaughter could only lie, claiming she had long been in love with Zhu Jing'an. Grandfather stroked his beard. If Zhu Jing'an denies it, you've also deceived the emperor. I was confident, he will not deny it. In the end my grandfather agreed to my plan. You are clever, girl. It's fortunate you stopped the emperor's bestowed marriage. That Lu Jingheng is despicable. A Shun daughter shall never enter the Lu household. Take this chance to suppress the Lu family. I nodded. As long as we confirm Lu Jingheng's shameful actions with the consort, the Lu family will surely suffer. Grandfather laughed loudly. Good, very good. If we can make the Lu family take a fall this time, girl, you will be a meritorious subject of the Shun family. After the palace banquet in this life ended, my situation was completely reversed. In my previous life, my family abandoned me and regarded me as a disgrace, but this time, I became someone useful to the family. I understood that most things in this world are like that. Before, I faced Lu Jingheng alone and had been chilled by my family, but the emotions of a young woman accomplish nothing. I must accept everything fully and turn all that is before me into factors that benefit myself. With family resources, I very quickly spread the story between Lu Jingheng and Zhao Wanwan all over the capital, emphasizing the intimate details of their affair. The gossip was crafted into a proper little scandal and flew everywhere like it had grown wings. Have you heard? Young Master Lu and consort Zhao were childhood sweethearts. Someone saw them kissing on the willow embankment in the East City. That willow embankment was planted by young Master Lu himself for consort Zhao. Before consort Zhao entered the palace, she often met young Master Lu in private. Someone saw them together in a tea house. Tell me, a man and a woman alone in a room for more than an hour, what do you think they were doing in there? I sat in the tea house listening and couldn't help but sneer. This time I wanted to see how Lu Jingheng would resolve things. Just as I was listening intently, a commotion came from downstairs. Men from the military affairs office were arresting gossipmongers. I recognized the commander at a glance. Lu Sanlang, yet another Lu family member. Seize them, arrest the storytellers and the gossiping actors. The arrests were a pretense. The real aim was to silence people's tongues. For a time the whole city was filled with panic. My close friends from the inner chambers came to see me. The Lu family is shutting people up everywhere. Do you think Lu Jingheng might try to force marry you now? I smiled faintly. Does Lu Jingheng think silencing others will be enough? The more you forbid something to be said, the more mysterious it becomes and the more people wonder. I knew well that mere rumors couldn't prove what was between Lu Jingheng and the consort, but once an empress' suspicions are planted, they take root and grow. Sooner or later they will explode completely. At the same time, my grandfather and uncles were suppressing the Lu family's power at court. For a time the two major factions were at each other's throats in the court. Lu Jingheng grew anxious. The city's public opinion was all against him. The Lu family even considered replacing the heir. Moreover, Zhu Jing'an, far away at the border, would by now have received news and would return to the capital soon. Once Zhu Jing'an acknowledged that he was the one in my heart, Lu Jingheng's crime of deceiving the sovereign would be confirmed. But would Lu Jingheng sit idly by? What he didn't know was that in this life my family had given me considerable resources, allowing me to monitor his every move at any time. When I learned that Lu Jingheng planned to ambush Zhu Jing'an en route to silence him. I immediately set about arranging to intercept him. Miss, young Master Lu has hired assassins from the underworld. He intends to silence General Zhu. Even if the court investigates, they won't find him responsible. Yes. Lu Jingheng was that meticulous. Since that was the case, I imitated his methods and spent a fortune hiring underworld men to go aid Zhu Jing'an. The guards and covert agents raised by noble houses could not compare to the top experts of the underworld, Lu Jingheng, in this game of chess. Let's see who reaches the end. I waited quietly in the capital for news, until a few days later my people returned carrying a man covered in blood. I almost didn't recognize Zhu Jing'an. Miss, the man was brought back alive. But his injuries are severe, he's unconscious right now. Lord Lu spared no expense this time. He sent several waves of men to hunt down General Zhu all the way. Seeing Zhu Jing'an's wretched state with my own eyes, I couldn't help but feel distressed. It was I who had pulled him into this game. By the way, miss, there's one more thing. After General Zhu heard about you at the border, he rode back at breakneck speed that same night without resting, and he didn't bring many attendants. That's how he was ambushed. I was stunned. A strange feeling spread through my chest. Memories of Zhu Jing'an and me suddenly surfaced. The Shun and Zhu families, one civil, one military, hadn't had much to do with each other, but my eldest aunt married his younger uncle, making the families relatives by marriage. He and I were born in the same year, month, and day. From childhood he insisted I call him cousin, which I refused, forcing him to call me cousine. He always liked to tease me. Every time he saw me he'd either yank my hairpin or pull at the flower in my hair, and later he'd even grab half of the pastry I was holding and eat it. When did we start growing apart? Probably at the spring banquet 2 years ago. I climbed the rockery to pick up a paper kite and slipped, falling straight down, but instead of pain I found a soft cushion beneath me. That day my lips brushed Zhu Jing'an's forehead, his handsome face flushed bright red, and he said in a muffled voice, "Shen Wanning, you, what are you doing?" I hurried to my feet. Zhu Jing'an, it wasn't on purpose, just pretend nothing happened. He looked at me in disbelief, glaring. I wondered, are you angry? Did I hurt you? Is your waist okay? The boy stood huffing, his phoenix-like eyes staring at me. Nothing in that moment, not even the begonia blossoms, matched the color of his face. In the end Zhu Jing'an snorted, "Shen Wanning, you understand nothing," and stomped off, leaving me with the sight of a handsome nape. It has been 2 years since that day. I personally untied his blooded clothes and carefully wiped his wounds. Seeing his body tremble slightly, I leaned in and blew on him. At that moment the man on the couch slowly opened his eyes, his face worn as if he'd been traveling hard for days. I was overjoyed. "Zhu Jing'an, you're awake." The man was no longer the tender youth he once had been. His handsome face had hardened, the contours more resolute, and the pallor in his face quickly returned to color. He stammered, "Who are you?" "Me, has he lost his memory?" I called the medic outside to question him. The medic spoke firmly, "General Zhu has been traveling non-stop, days without rest. The oxen in the fields are more tired than he is. Moreover, he bears several wounds and has bled a lot, which led to his fainting. But his head is fine, there's no blockage in his mind, so logically there should be no amnesia." A plan formed in my mind. I returned inside and saw Zhu Jing'an's whole body tense, his earlobes and neck flushed red, and when I looked at his curled toes, I understood roughly. He was pretending to have amnesia. Was he embarrassed to face me? After a reunion after a long time, I was happy, so I decided to tease him. At this moment he wore only his underwear, and the area there looked full and bulging. No wonder his whole body was taut, his legs pressed together, lying straight. "Jing'an, you're awake. Do you not remember me? I am Wn Ning." Zhu Jing'an's eyes dodged, his hands at his sides, clutching the bedding beneath him. "Why am I here? What is our relationship?" I said concisely, mixing truth and lies, deliberately emphasizing. "We have long had feelings for each other. You plan to return to the capital to marry me this time." Prince Lu lied in the presence of the emperor, saying he and I are lovers. "Your return to the capital this time was ordered by the emperor, to come back as a witness." Zhu Jing'an's lips twitched unnaturally. "Are you saying that you and I are the lovers?" Why should I believe you? What evidence do you have? I smiled, leaned toward him, and my hand touched his chest, feeling his strong, beating heart, and I exhaled warm air. Jing'an, you and I have known each other since childhood. What proof do you want? You often come sneaking into my courtyard. Have you forgotten? You still like to climb over the walls of my house. This, too, was a half-truth. Climbing the wall was true, breaking into the boudoir was not. Zhu Jing'an drew a deep breath, as if he would risk everything, and stared into my eyes. The evidence you mention is not enough. Do you dare to kiss me? Goodness gracious. Pretending to be amnesiac and yet trying to provoke me. What's there to fear? The next moment, Zhu Jing'an himself admitted defeat. I was just speaking offhand. If you don't want to, that's fine. I covered his mouth, face to face. Zhu Jing'an's pupils widened, his whole body grew feverish. Just as I was about to stand up, someone pressed at the back of my head. Zhu Jing'an's attack was clumsy yet fierce. We were testing each other, when someone outside the door cried out, "Ah!" I didn't see anything at all. You two continue. These adults really have no sense of propriety. It's improper. My parents are like this. My cousin and cousin's wife are the same. The intruder was Zhu Zhaoning, my younger aunt and Zhu Jing'an's younger uncle's daughter. Zhu Jing'an finally released me. His previously bloodless face had turned a vivid red. The medic came over to take his pulse, exclaiming in amazement, "General Zhu seems to have taken some elixir. His pulse is strong as a bull. But he has multiple knife wounds and must be nursed carefully. Avoid strenuous activity." Zhu Zhaoning leaned in with a look of disdain. "Father and mother told me to come see my cousin and said the cousin should fully cooperate with my sister and the Shen family, and not go against my cousin's wishes. If my sister asks the cousin to do something, the cousin has to do it." I pressed my lips and suppressed a smile. But what I did not expect was that Zhu Jing'an had become addicted to pretending to have amnesia. He knew I needed him to go to the imperial court to admit that he was my beloved, but he took this opportunity to seize the advantage. I applied medicine to him. He winced and cried out softly, "Jiao Jiao, with so many scars on my body, did you ever take care of me as delicately as you do now? Why don't you blow on them for me?" I helped him change his clothes, and he simply lay in my embrace. "Jiao Jiao, what sweet words have you spoken to me before? Now tell me again. Perhaps it will help me recover my memories." I urged him to return to the general's mansion, and he sighed. "My injuries are too serious. Moving my body will hinder recovery. I must recover quickly to go before the emperor to bear witness." I had intended to use Zhu Jing'an's injuries to accuse Lu Jingheng of hiring assassins, but as I suspected, all the hired killers were silenced, leaving no way to pin it on Lu Jingheng. Grandfather and the uncles summoned me to discuss the family's important matters. In the past, only the house's eldest brothers were granted this treatment. "Jiao Jiao, General Zhu will be admitted to the palace to pay respects to the emperor in a few days. By then Lu Jingheng will surely resort to other measures." I smiled and dropped a bombshell. "Grandfather, uncles, Jiao Jiao had people quietly investigate the male members of the Lu family. Please see if this is accurate." I presented the files. After reading them they looked shocked. My uncle, who also served as lesser tutor and was responsible for the prince's upbringing in the palace, knew the prince's features intimately. Even grandfather showed astonishment. "This concerns the imperial bloodline. It's a grave matter. Jiao Jiao must be absolutely certain before tearing off the bandage. Otherwise, if the emperor is angered, it will harm the Shen family." I understood. Grandfather was solely considering the family's interests. I nodded. "Rest assured, grandfather, your granddaughter is still gathering witnesses." A few days later it was time for Zhu Jing'an to show himself. He seemed insecure. Before entering the palace he suddenly pressed me against the inner wall of the carriage, his high nose almost touching mine. "Jiao Jiao, after I go into the palace to testify, you won't stab me in the back, will you? I'm telling you. As soon as I confess our relationship before the emperor, you can't go back on it. I care about my reputation, and I'm a traditional man. You've seen me completely. You should take responsibility for me soon. Don't make me wait. A man's prime years are only a few." "Is that so?" I was somewhat doubtful but played along. "Fine, once Lu Jingheng falls, you and I will marry." Zhu Jing'an was overjoyed. Really, you are willing to marry me, me? The emperor sat high on the dragon throne, sweeping his gaze over everyone present, lingering especially on Lu Jingheng. Zhao Wanyan was a beauty and had long enjoyed the emperor's special favor after entering the palace. Previously many ministers had remonstrated and proposed that the fifth prince, born of Zhao Wanyan, be made crown prince. The loudest voices came from the Lu family faction, but lately no one from the Lu household dared mention it again. Zhu Jing'an, you tell me, what is your relationship with Shen Wanning? The emperor asked. Zhu Jing'an glanced at Lu Jingheng, his look filled with a hatred that seemed to wish him 1,000 cuts. Your Majesty, Zhao Zhao and I have long since confessed our feelings to each other. I intended to return to the capital this time and propose to the Shen family. I never imagined someone would attempt to besmirch Zhao Zhao's reputation. The emperor's pupils narrowed. The noble consort clutched her embroidered handkerchief. Despite heavy makeup, her fatigue showed. Lu Jingheng had worn a dark expression all day. Something about him had changed. He now carried the aura of a powerful minister. Your Majesty, he said, Shen Wanning and I have long since harbored feelings for each other. I do not lie. That person I called for at the palace banquet was her. The emperor squinted. Oh, Minister Lu, what proof do you have? Why does Shen Wanning insist that Zhu Jing'an is the one in her heart? Lu Jingheng's face was open as if everything were under his control. Your Majesty, Shen Wanning and I had a quarrel. She's sulking with me. I had seen her body but did not immediately propose. If the emperor doubts me, I can accurately describe the private birthmark on her body. Zhu Jing'an flew into coarse curses at once. I felt a cold stab. I do indeed have a birthmark. The only person alive who knows of it is my wet nurse. She treated me like her own. In my past life she was the only Shen family member who never abandoned me. After I married into the Lu family, she was beaten to death with clubs trying to help me flee. My wet nurse could never have sold me out. Looking into Lu Jingheng's dark eyes, I was nearly certain he had been reborn too. In my previous life he regarded me as a possession and surely saw the birthmark. Lu Jingheng gave a light laugh. Wanning, your childhood name really is Zhao Zhao, but you privately told me to call you Wanyan, who besides an intimate could see your secret birthmark. Behave and don't sulk with me. I will go to the Shen family to propose next month. Does that please you? I closed my eyes. If the palace maid examined me, they would surely see the birthmark. Lu Jingheng had come prepared. Denying the birthmark outright was meaningless. When I reopened my eyes and met Lu Jingheng's teasing smile, I curled my lips. Speaking of private matters, I also know something shared by all legitimate Lu men. Their little finger and ring finger are the same length. The heir of the Lu house insisting that the person I summoned at the banquet was me. Could it be to protect someone? If I remember correctly, noble consort Zhao's childhood name is Wanyan. I dropped the key point. Summoning Zhu Jing'an back to the capital had bought time to gather evidence. Lu Jingheng's expression shifted drastically. The noble consort had already lost her color. The emperor frowned, his large hand tightening on the arm of the dragon throne. I did not give Lu Jingheng a chance to counterattack and continued. This maiden once heard a storybook tale. In the story, a powerful minister, to blur the imperial bloodline, had affairs with palace concubines. When the concubines bore his children, he strongly supported that child for the throne. The minister became a sort of second father, wielding immense power over court affairs and even usurping the Empress Dowager's privileges. My words gave the emperor plenty of room for imagination. The imperial concubine couldn't hold on and suddenly sank to her knees. Your Majesty, Shen Wanning is slandering me. I am wronged, Your Majesty. I sneered. Your Highness the concubine. When did I ever say you were the consort from the story? If you have nothing to hide, why do you try to pin it on yourself? Lu Jingheng, accustomed in his previous life to high office and still arrogant, actually declared on the spot, Your Majesty. Shen Wanning's mouth is full of absurdities. She dares to malign the royal bloodline. Her heart deserves death. Quickly grant her execution. Zhu Jing'an stepped in front of me, but I pulled him slightly to the side. I smiled with satisfaction. This mad pair were finally about to show their true faces. I struck back. Lu Shizi, you keep calling me the one in your heart, so why do you want the emperor to have me executed? Lu Jingheng's face went deathly white. All his former arrogance vanished. He was no regent yet and certainly not all-powerful. His life was at the emperor's whim. I cupped my hands to the emperor. Your Majesty, the royal bloodline is not a matter for jest, especially since the fifth prince is one of the candidates for heir. Though I hold no office, I am still a subject of Great Qian. I earnestly request your Majesty to investigate thoroughly to preserve the purity of the bloodline. At this point there was no turning back for the emperor. He glanced at the concubine, as if looking at a corpse, then issued the order, guards, bring the fifth prince here. Also, summon the Imperial Medical Institute's chief physician. The concubine's body went limp. Tears welled as she looked at Lu Jingheng. He refused to meet her gaze, still making a last stand. But large patches of sweat were already soaking his back. Very soon, the fifth prince was brought over. He was raised fat, with flesh on his small hands, but one could tell at a glance that his little finger and ring finger were of similar length. After the emperor inspected him, he signaled the court to perform blood-to-blood paternity testing. Before the blood test, the court scholar explained the apparatus. Your Majesty, blood compatibility testing is not reliable, but I have a potion that can make the blood of close relatives fuse. As soon as the scholar spoke, Lu Jingheng's last stubbornness collapsed. The imperial guards gripped his shoulders, cut his finger, and then brought in the fifth prince. Cut his finger as well, and drooled blood. 2 drops in the bowl seemed to be drawn by something and quickly merged into one. The emperor's face turned cold, and with a stomp he struck the concubine's heart. Bitch, this little brat is not a premature birth at all. I also found it strange back then. Why a 6-month premature baby was larger than a full-term child, so it was a monstrous fetus you conceived before entering the palace. I took the opportunity to add fuel to the fire. If the emperor investigates further, he will surely find that the midwife who delivered, the palace maids, and the imperial doctors are all dead. None of these people died a natural death. There has to be foul play involved. The emperor's eyes flashed with murderous intent. The concubine was frightened and coughed up blood. Looking at Lu Jingheng, Jingheng brother, save me. Lu Jingheng closed his eyes, looked at the sky, and muttered, done for, it's all over. When he opened his eyes again, Lu Jingheng kowtowed to the emperor with great force. Your Majesty, I too was momentarily confused. It was Zhao Wanwan. She tempted me before I entered the palace. It was her who wanted to sacrifice herself to me. Zhao Wanwan was stunned, as if she didn't recognize Lu Jingheng. Why, Jingheng brother, why would you say this? You clearly told me you remembered me, unwilling to let me join the palace. That night you clung to me and wouldn't let go. Lu Jingheng said, you're talking nonsense. Don't ruin my reputation, Zhao Wanwan said. Jingheng brother, you said you would let our child sit on the throne as crown prince. Aren't you regretting it now? But all of this is something you alone caused. You can't pin the blame on me. The fifth prince shouted loudly, tears streaming down his face. The emperor, tired of the fuss, took a long sword from a guard and personally ended this shame. Zhao Wanwan, seeing this, cried and laughed. Ha, 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 my son will be the crown prince, and will eventually be the 9-5 emperor. Jingheng brother promised me that I would become the most honorable woman under the sky. The emperor ordered, come here, strip Zhao's noble consort title and cast her into the cold palace. As for Lu Jingheng, he is to be torn to pieces by 5 horses. Lu Jingheng's face went deathly pale. Just when I thought everything should settle, Lu Jingheng suddenly blew a whistle. The informants planted in the palace all drew their swords and rushed in to kill. He was desperate, pulling out all the Lu family's hidden agents in the palace. Lu Jingheng fought his way out of the court and fled. Only then did the emperor realize his palace had long been infiltrated by the noble families. Also, driven by suspicion, the emperor had the other princes' bloodlines tested one by one. In the end, only one little princess turned out to be his blood. Enraged, the emperor suffered a stroke and his life hung by a thread, kept alive only by medicinal broths. The court and the country were shaken. The noble families grew restless, each wanting to prop up a pliant puppet emperor. The Shen family was no exception. I suggested to my grandfather, the little princess is the emperor's legitimate blood. Her mother came from palace maidservants and has no clan backing. If the Shun family supports the little princess's accession, the great Qian dynasty will be under our control. Grandfather pondered for a long moment, but the little princess is still a woman. What I wanted was precisely a woman to take the throne. If the little princess could ascend, would the marquisate I desire be far off? I said, Grandfather, there are precedents for everything. Why can't the little princess be the precedent for an empress, rather than choosing from royal relations? Why not pick an overlooked little princess? She will be easiest to control. To persuade him I mentioned the Zhu family. Grandfather, I will marry Zhu Jing'an as soon as possible. The Shun Zhu alliance through marriage will be firmer. With both families' civil and military strength combined, the little princess can inherit the throne. Grandfather, this is Shun family's rare chance to rise, a once-in-a-century opportunity. If we miss it, we'll never get another. In the end, Grandfather was convinced. While the emperor was unconscious, Grandfather mobilized the whole clan to endorse the little princess as crown princess. At the same time, the Lu family publicly declared a complete break with Lu Jingheng, striking him from the genealogy, cutting off a tail to survive. Leaving Lu Jingheng to take the fall alone, the Lu family's power was deeply rooted and could not be wrenched out overnight. When my people found Lu Jingheng, Zhu Jing'an had already cornered him in a desolate alley outside the city. Lu Jingheng was in rags, not a trace of the dignity he'd had as the former chief minister. Zhu Jing'an's foot was on Lu Jingheng's head. Lu Jingheng lay on the ground like a defeated dog. Lu Jingheng, someone even I wouldn't dare bully, and you almost ruined her life. Today I'll end you. I stopped Zhu Jing'an. Wait, letting him die so easily would be too cheap for him. Reluctantly Zhu Jing'an withdrew his foot. He handed the man over to me. I touched the handsome man's face. Jing'an, be good. I want to handle him myself. Don't interfere. Go back first. Zhu Jing'an was obedient now. Afraid I might refuse the marriage, I took Lu Jingheng to the South Wind Pavilion. He still tried to beguile me. Once married, there's a debt of 100 days. For the sake of our past life, won't you spare a shred of old affection? How dare he? I fed him lingering bone powder and ordered his hand and foot tendons cut. Lu Jingheng, you are now the Lu family's discarded son. How does it feel to be abandoned by your clan? I won't let you die. I will make you cry to the heavens and call to the earth in vain. Everything you did to me in your past life, I will return to you in full. You can savor it. By the way, if the Lu family finds out you're in this den of vice, they'll do everything to kill you. You'd better keep your tail tucked between your legs and live like that until you are tortured to death. Lu Jingheng still had a good face and fetched 100 taels of silver. I casually tossed the silver into the beggar's den outside the city. Was that not a kind of charity? On the day the crown princess was formally invested, the emperor died. Much of it was probably my grandfather's doing. I do not judge that, just as my family in my past life weighed pros and cons and abandoned me. I understand the same now. Human nature is like that. So when my grandfather asked what reward I wanted, I asked to be made a female marquis. He was shocked, and my uncles and elder brothers were puzzled. I spent a year convincing them, with memories from my previous life. I went to Jiangnan to give disaster relief, personally treated the afflicted, predicted an earthquake so people could evacuate early. My deeds spread everywhere. Within a year, the name Shun Wanning was known in every household. My grandfather is now the regent. Seeing my efforts and achievements, he finally relented and fully supported my elevation to female marquis. My grandmother didn't understand. Zhao Zhao, your marriage to Zhu Jing'an is near. And you are a woman, why insist on becoming a female marquis? I only smiled and said nothing. Because in my last life I already experienced the fate of the weak. I will not let myself become useless again, nor will I expect anyone to love me unconditionally. Even if one day the family again abandons me after weighing interests, at least I can protect myself and be my own backing. With an empress before me, my being made a female marquis met with little resistance. I bought a residence in the most prosperous quarter of the capital. On the first night there, Zhu Jing'an broke in. He carried a basket filled with needles and red silk. He spread the items out, holding the needle and thread in one hand and the fabric in the other. looking very practiced. Zhao Zhao, I found an embroidery master from Jiangnan and she taught me for months. I will sew your wedding gown by hand. To be honest, the mandarin ducks he embroidered were exquisitely cute, those hands, which could wield a sword against enemies, holding an embroidery needle, were not at all out of place. I asked, why do you insist on sewing it yourself? Zhu Jing'an said, Zhao Zhao is a marquis now, I must still go all out to flatter you. Besides, the books say a hand-sewn wedding gown ensures our hearts stay bound together forever. Most importantly, if other young masters can do something, I can too. If they can't, I can. I am irreplaceable. I snorted with laughter. Young General Zhu, why not keep pretending to have amnesia? Zhu Jing'an's face flushed. Under the lamp, the more I looked at the handsome man, the more my heart stirred. If I don't pretend to have amnesia, how can I face you? We've hacked and bickered for so long. I'm not used to being lovers with you. I propped my cheek on my hand, admiring his face. And now, Zhu Jing'an's Adam's apple bobbed, our eyes met and the air warmed. He put down the needle and suddenly closed in on me. Zhao Zhao, I used to always provoke you to get your attention. I've liked you for a long time. I even dream about kissing you. I looped my arm around his neck and pulled him toward the soft couch. Zhu Jing'an, what a coincidence, I do too. 10 years later, the Empress was 15. And I had become an adored minister at court, truly second to no one. The Empress said, I know you were the one who strongly recommended me before. You helped me ascend and change my fate. I grant you everlasting merit. As for the Shen family, I did not deliberately suppress them, nor did I fully support them. To me, the family and I were merely in a mutually beneficial arrangement. The end.